the dwarves would look smaller because everything was bigger. The chairs, it was really, really funny. And I was then I was banished to a green screen version of my normal size set, and had an earpiece, and Richard, Thorin, Dwalin, Balin, the whole dwarves were around my table on sticks with pictures with light bulbs. And we'd rehearsed the scene in the morning together, and then I said my teary goodbye. Well, all of them stayed together and had fun, and I had to go and sit on the screen set. Well, the only communication I had was an earpiece, and the camera that was following me was slave to the master camera that was following these guys to keep them in perspective and make them look smaller. This one was keeping me in perspective to make it look larger, and then they merged both the screens for Peter and his tent to watch, and sure enough, there it was. I was taller than Richard Armitage.
Now, Richard, I know that you're a Tolkien fan from way back, and I heard somewhere in an interview that you said that when the Two Towers movie came out, you went to see it with a group of friends, dressed up.
I wasn't dressed up as anything from the movie, I just...
Because I was going to say to you that you are amongst friends here, we are all fellow geeks, and we'd be very happy to know what it was you dressed up as.
I think I wore some ears, elf ears, but they were quite crude. I think they were made from a cereal packet. It was in Ireland, and
And Luke, had you read the books before you came to the movie?
No, I just read the book, the Hobbit book.
Right.
That was the rest were just too thick. They just scared the living daylights out of me. I'm a very, very slow reader. It takes me a long time to read a script, so books are, I need silence and no distractions, which is very rare in my life. So no, when I read the Hobbit, I read it as a teenager, and then when I got the job, I read it again. It's a fabulous story, isn't it?
It's a great
Hard to put down.
Richard, do you think you can read it again now and not see the characters, Peter Jackson's characters, when you read it?
I think it's almost impossible to do that. I won't try for a while, but certainly if you even attempted to read Lord of the Rings, and that's a testament to his great filmmaking and his great casting, is that you can't get those faces and those images out of your head. So what I do hope is that kids that go see the film might go and pick up the book that wouldn't have done, because it's a book that's been around since 1937, and the translations use it in so many languages, and there's a reason behind that. So I hope they get some kids reading.
Well, we're certainly seeing an uplift in sales of HarperCollins, so I'm not complaining about that. Luke, the first time we do see you is with your bow, and I wanted to ask you about weapons training. Did you ever shoot a bow before you went on this film?
Yeah, in Butlins.
Any good crack shot?
I think I was all right, actually. I don't think I was too bad. But no, I never did it. It was a serious hobby, but it's very addictive, actually, picking up the bow and arrow. Especially when you get it on target, which is really fun. Do you remember that one day when we were all doing it?
I can't even think about you, because we've been training for so long, and then Luke walks in on day one, picks up the bow and arrow, and it's just hitting bullseyes.
Born to be a bowman.
Pulling the bow and it's going into the sea. And then just sneaking in and having to pull it out and cover over the hole.
But in your defense, I have to say that the way a dwarf pulls a bow and arrow is very different to the way a human pulls a bow and arrow. Because the dwarves, they pull them underneath from the waist. And obviously I'm pulling them like this, so it was very different. I think I had my eye to focus. So stay on. Yeah. We may not be pals in the film.
So if you've got a big fire-breathing dragon bearing down on you now, are you going to stand and shoot, or are you
No,
going to
because
run out?
I was a little braver in the film because I was only killing a giant green ball. I was so brave. I think if Smaug had actually been flying towards me with a big inflamed chest, I might have not had the same amount of courage. He's enormous, by the way. He is absolutely gigantic in the film, bigger than I had imagined. So yeah, I think you'll all be very pleased.
And Richard, weapons training. You must have done a great deal of it for this movie.
Yeah, and at the very beginning, nobody, apart from Orcrist, we didn't really know what kind of weapons we were going to be using. And in fact, there was a lot of collaboration with Weta about the design of some of the weapons. And I remember kind of watching all the other dwarves get really over-enthusiastic about the amount of weapons they were going to carry. I had to hold back for a while. They were going to be carrying these weapons for 200 and however many days. But I was always thrilled to work with what I feel is like Tolkien writes weapons as characters. He gives them names, and it was an extraordinary weapon, hard to use, very heavy, and had a certain kind of physicality. It was like a figure of eight. Did you?
Hugely
Yeah, I mean,
weighty piece of steel that was. But then there's also, that was the hero's sword.
yeah.
But then you would have had a sword made out of something else for actual fighting.
Supposedly slightly lighter in weight, but I mean, it was a two-handed sword. But when we looked at it, and Mama Davis, who was my sponsor, just did this brilliant job figuring out how to make it look really flashy, and he would do it all with one hand.
Wow.
So I did a fair bit of training of this art.
How you cursed Thranduil in the film in
Yes.
a wonderful fashion.
Twice.
Twice.
Once in his company and once when I'm in the cell.
That's right. Can you tell us what you actually said to him?
Well, the first
I
curse.
asked this 3 days
Did
ago.
you know what it was?
No, but I asked you what you say. because
Well,
you
they
say
were going
it
to subtitle
before.
it, but I think it was.
They didn't, though.
They didn't. So should they ask
Left
you?
it to our imagination.
Okay, so I say to him the first time, Imre dan Sun, which means the literal translation is died at the flames. So it means effectively burn in hell. And the second one, and this is definitely between us. When I'm in the cells, I say Ishkak vi ein gehog nul, which was an invented thing. Which kind of meant I pour excrement on the head of your ancestors. In layman's terms, I shit in your face. So that's why they didn't subtitle it. And that's just between us.
You do say cack though. Cack is like.
Yeah.
I don't know.